But I got us to that point. It should be kicking back any second. I don't know, but I've said ask the answer like 500 times. What I want to know is where everything went.
Told council wanted to see me. All right, so the last witness was your witness. Is there a reason?
Can one of my mods screen record this for me for the reaction? I got you guys recording, but I can't get myself.
Okay. What do you want to tell me, Mr. Leslie?
Hi, second husband.
Bear with me a moment, Your Honor. I need to put on evidence gloves.
I love him. I have it recording your guys' comments. I just need someone to record my reaction. Otherwise, it's going to take me 5 hours to line it up. I still can't believe this man is 67. I probably am. That's why I asked somebody to screen record it, because I can only get my side. I can't get my voice. I'm going to nervously put on my lipstick.
The defense moves for a mistrial with prejudice based upon intentional misconduct that just occurred before the court and for the jury. And what I'd like to do, Your Honor, this regards the hoodie. In this regards questioning and representations and questioning by Mr. Brennan. And what I'd like to and need to do, Your Honor, is to have 2 documents marked as exhibits. And then I am going to use Exhibit 88, which is an evidence, which is the hoodie, which is why I'm putting on the evidence gloves. And it will become quite obvious very shortly what the issues are.
All right, so what are the things that you want to have marked?
Oh, shit, oh, shit, oh, shit.
What I would like to have marked.
Catnip, screen record. Allison, somebody screen record. This is his second time asking for a mistrial with prejudice.
Document, and I want to get the specific title. These 2 documents are from the criminalist's file, specifically Ms. Maureen Hartnett's notes regarding cuttings from the hoodie sweatshirt that's in the crime lab file folder. Okay. So the first is the back of the hoodie.
To make it abundantly clear, we were listening to Crash Daddy testify, and it instantly went to the fan. They came back because we practice patience with parameters, and our second husband, has asked for a mistrial with prejudice. Now, if you don't know what with prejudice means, that means that they cannot try her again.
So, with Your Honor's permission, I would have that marked for identification.
No, Brandy. Wait, are you seriously going into labor?
Exhibit YYY.
Maybe for dramatics, I don't know.
ID.
Okay, I was about to say.
And may I see that, please? Thank you.
Is there anybody that thinks Bev was actually gonna?
And if I could please have the next marked in order exhibit for identification.
Not if it's with prejudice, which is what Mr. Alessi is asking for. He's asking for a mistrial with prejudice. Then they cannot charge her on these charges again.
Exhibit ZZZ for identification.
We need Maureen Hancock in here. Let me invite her.
Just give me a minute to read this, Mr. Leslie.
Yes, Your Honor.
So is it that there are no holes in the back? There were no holes in the back of the sweatshirt?
That's only part of it, but that is in fact the case, Your Honor.
Okay.
He lied? No, they're not.
I can't tell entirely from ZZZ, but if that's your argument.
Hank just lied in front of the jury saying that there were holes on the back of the sweater?
Why, for identification appears to support that.
Oh my God.
Your Honor, may I have the exhibits marked for identification back from my argument?
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Alessi, you know what? Do it. Do it. Do it. Do the damn thing.
Your Honor, what we just saw is Attorney Brennan question Dr. Wolf with regard to the hoodie sweatshirt that heretofore has been in the plastic casing for trial. And this is what happened was Attorney Brennan held up the casing with a hoodie sweatshirt, went to the back of the hoodie sweatshirt. First point to note, Mr. Brennan did not show Mr. Jackson the back of the hoodie sweatshirt, didn't give Mr. Jackson an opportunity to look at it.
Can I just ask a question? I noticed that it was over here at the witness stand this morning, so I assumed everyone was aware that something was going to happen with it. Is that not the case, Mr.
Liz, you're just in time. Alessi has just called for a mistrial with precedence.
Jackson?
That is not the case, Your Honor.
Okay.
The first time I realized that line
Okay.
of question was going to be asked was Mr. Brennan pulled the casing out.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Alessi.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I know, me too.
So, to do it in order, Mr. Brennan takes the hoodie sweatshirt in the casing without notice, shows it to Dr. Wolf, and shows the back of the hoodie, which has certain holes, and I'm going to limit calling them holes to do this chronologically. I'm going to refer to exactly what they are in moments.
Okay, so I need to see it. I know you've got gloves on. Where is it right now? It would help me if you held it up for me now,
Absolutely,
Mr.
Your Honor.
Alessi.
So, here is the back
Okay.
of the hoodie.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
It's very obvious that these are cutting holes cut by the criminalist. And I'm going to
I told you.
back to this in a moment. But I would like to do it and certainly entertain any of your Honor's questions, but in a logical order.
Sure. So I'm not. What about the jurors and lunch? How long do you think this will be?
I think this will take about 10 to 15 minutes, Your Honor.
Are you effing kidding me? He's in the middle. Bev, chill. Your White Claw will be there for you later.
Okay.
Don't rush our man. They expect to rest Tuesday, but if they get the mistrial, then today.
Thank you.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Mr. Leslie.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I just want to get the flow back going here in the logic. So, and I'll do it quickly. So Mr. Brennan grabs the hoodie sweatshirt inside the casing, doesn't show it to Attorney Jackson, goes up. We have no idea that this was going to happen. Goes up, confronts the witness, Dr. Wolf, shows the back of the hoodie sweatshirt. To my knowledge, the first time the back has been referenced of the hoodie sweatshirt. Shows Dr. Wolf, confronts him, and basically says, couldn't these holes be caused, and I'm paraphrasing, from a fall backwards? Obviously positing in the juror's mind after, remember, we just saw all kinds of videos with regard to Rescue Randy and impact at 24, 29 miles an hour, more aptly 29 miles per hour, and damage to the hoodie, etc. So what then happens is Dr. Wolf is asked a series of questions, very much with the indication that somehow, in the clear implication, that these holes are being caused by road rash, and that the holes in the back of the hoodie sweatshirt, Exhibit 88, could have been or likely were caused with regard to some type of impact. Clearly presented to the jurors with that in mind in that questioning. Here is the basis for the mistrial with prejudice.
With.
Those holes in the back of the hoodie sweatshirt are clearly, unequivocally, without doubt, caused nothing to do with any type of event on or about January 29th, 2022.
So do you have something you said, when you said obviously cut by the criminalist, do you have something that shows that chart that I couldn't understand quickly? Is it on that?
Yes, Your
Stop
Honor.
rushing our
What we have is
husbands.
two documents to show that.
Right, so the second one, when was that provided?
These, when you say provided, you mean with regard to when did the defense get these in
Yes.
a discovery? Let me get the date, Your Honor.
Sure.
I'm like really
Notice of
nervous.
discovery, May 2023.
Okay, thank you.
And I will note, exhibit YYY. The only, I believe, I'm holding up YYY, which is the back of the hoodie, I believe is the only one, to my knowledge, not put into evidence, not turned into evidence. This is the one that it clearly shows the hoodie before the criminalist started her work with the cuts. There are no cuts to YYY, and if we need to, we'll bring Ms. Hartnett in to confirm.
All right, so is ZZZ in evidence?
ZZZ is not in evidence, and that is part of the basis for the mistrial. It is no coincidence that these two documents are not in evidence, because if they were in evidence, they would clearly have prevented the stunt that we just saw occur with regard to Dr. Wolf. So that is part of the intentional misconduct, Your Honor, is these are documents from the criminalist's file. It's the Commonwealth's documents. And it is very clear when you go to Exhibit ZZZ, the cuts that the criminalist made to the back of the hoodie are specified.
So where on that? Because when I quickly looked at it, I didn't see it. What does it say? Go ahead and read it to me, please.
It's item number
Guys, please, for the love of God, do not give any spoilers to how this plays out. I am begging you not to. I will turn off chat if I have to.
7. I'll read it from the top. LIMS 22-21884. Analyst MSH, which is the initials for Ms. Hartnett.
Yes, they would
Dates: May 11, 2022, May 12, 2023, and then May 18, 2023. And what she does is she's got the...
You know what? Can you bring it up to me, please?
I certainly can, Your Honor. And I can conduct my argument from right here if that helps, Your Honor.
I just want to see, point out to me where it says information. Yeah.
I'm going to do a poll. If you guys want the comments shut off, hit the smile face. If you don't want the comments hit off, hit the cry face. I'll do whatever majority is.
See the various. Let me just get a check on this, Your Honor. I'm not...
She's not a fan of anybody on defense.
Mr. Brennan, you should come up and look at this.
And I'm
So Mr. Leslie's statement.
Keep in mind, Brennan is already on the Brady list, or otherwise known as the Go-Go list. He lied in opening statements, telling the jury that they would hear Miss Reed say on recording, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. He lied about that too. The poll is if you want the comments turned off, hit the smile face. If you don't, the cry face.
I mean, right, but if I can, Your Honor, I want to clarify this. Yes, are you willing to, let me just make sure I get it.
Mr. Jackson, it says exterior front, what Mr. Leslie was pointing me to.
Me either.
I can do, Mr. Wolf, can you print the back? And Your Honor, are you comfortable using the computer at the back? Because I think we just had the wrong one.
We need to mark it though.
Understood. We wait. He's printing it right now.
The first time anyone comes close to a spoiler, they are getting shut off. Do not spoil, guys. Yeah, Alessi is asking for a mistrial with prejudice because good old Hank, and by that I mean bad Hank, he's just put an item into evidence that was not part of evidence.
We wanted to have the front and the back to show all the cuttings, but what only printed out was the front. We are now printing the back. Your Honor is correct.
This isn't just for the people in the comments. This is for me too. Do not ruin this. Not if it's with prejudice. With prejudice means that you cannot try again on these charges. This today, yes. No spoilers. -2. We start on the delay, so if we could fast forward through the breaks, that's what we do here. That's why we're asking not to share spoilers.
Minutes, because it has to go.
All right, so go ahead with your argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, what is being printed is which we will mark, will be the front of the hoodie. The purpose of Exhibit ZZZ and the one that is being printed is to show and to give the court, and we're going to request to give to the jury the complete picture and the complete true story about these holes in the hoodie that were presented as if they were caused in some manner by something else other than...
So that seems perfectly reasonable, and I'd be inclined to do that.
I appreciate that, Your Honor. And here is the reason for the motion for a mistrial with prejudice. On its own, to do this, and you put together all of the parts of what just occurred. You start with the fact that if I could, Your Honor, now that I have it get marked so I can then refer to it.
All right.
Thank you.
Can we print extra copies too, so I can have an early copy?
Absolutely.
And for the Commonwealth to see?
And I'm going to show the Commonwealth readiness.
Thank you, Gunter. I looked like my brother.
Exhibit A.
Thank
Thank you, Leah. While we're waiting, I love this lipstick. Two-toned. Watch. You see it?
Sure. And here's another document change.
Glit Balm. GLITBALM. BALM. It looks purple from one way, pink from the other.
I had to, Madam Court Reporter, the chain of custody document for these, and ask that be marked as the next exhibit in order.
Okay.
And then with Your Honor's permission, I would have Madam Court Reporter hand them both up to Your Honor.
If you're just coming in, no spoilers. I will turn the comments off again if I see another spoiler.
Sure. Thank you.
Glit Balm. Thank you. If only one wasn't set further back than the other.
D for ID.
Thank you.
T. GLIT. It's from a TikTok shop. This is right now, no spoilers.
Do you need this, Mr. Leslie?
I could tell,
I
look,
do not
this.
need either of them, Your Honor, and I have the extra copies.
Yes.
Okay, so Your Honor, I now have enough copies for Your Honor and Judge Commonwealth.
It's not just about them, it's about me too, Mia. I don't want it spoiled either.
So if I could have one set, that would be great. Yeah, thank you.
I still do not have ZZ's. All right. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Lessie.
So, Your Honor, to do this quickly chronologically, so we have a hoodie sweatshirt that was brought into the criminalist, Ms. Hartnett, with the back of the hoodie with no holes on it. The criminalist makes cuts to the back of the hoodie, makes cuts to the front of the hoodie. The exhibit, Your Honor, depicts those. There's a chain of custody document that describes the chain of custody for the hoodie and the cuts and the chronology.
No jury.
And of course, we have exhibit 88, which is the hoodie. So what Mr. Brennan did, and I'm now pulling exhibit 88, he holds up the back of the hoodie, which has cuts in the back from the criminalist, somebody from the Commonwealth, a witness in this case, Ms. Hartnett, she's testified, and Mr. Brennan has indicated he wants her to come back and testify, which we welcome. And now what we have is we have holes in the back of the sweatshirt that were dramatically held up and confronted with Dr. Wolf, and then the jury sees it.
Yeah, that's John's.
With the clear, unmistakable, purposeful intention of having the jury conclude that these holes could have come from events on January 29th of 2022, when in fact the Commonwealth well knows from its own documents, from its own criminal list, that those holes in the back were caused by their criminalist as part of their examination and sampling of the hoodie. What could be more egregious? What could be more misleading than that? And what could be more important for a context than the alleged collision that never occurred? That's the topic before some of the most significant and probative witnesses in this trial that the Commonwealth has been attacking from the jump of pretrial. They picked the most opportune, sensitive time to pull this stuff. This is intentional. This is irremediable. This is on the key issue of this case, whether there was any collision at all. On its own, Your Honor, on its own, this is a mistrial with prejudice. But I add to that what just happened, and I'm not going to repeat or go into other than to reference. This comes on just mere days after the Commonwealth raised the specter of absence of DNA on the same hoodie sweatshirt without having the criminalist, Ms. Kuhn from UC Davis come in. I know you're on.
Really quickly, he is arguing for mistrial with prejudice because Hank brought out the sweater and claimed that there were holes in the back, and the holes that were there were the cuts from the medical examiner to take it off. He lied to the jury.
Already ruled on that.
Right,
and
so let's move along from
Right,
that.
that's what, and I'm going to come back to this. Why is this occurring, Your Honor? Why is this happening? The Commonwealth has no case. They have no collision. They are desperate and are trying to create evidence of specters of collision where the evidence doesn't support it. So what have we come to? We've come to the manufacture of evidence. We've come to, incredibly, taking a hoodie, a key piece of evidence in this case, and holding up to Dr. Wolf, the ARCA expert, to try to make it seem like Dr. Wolf didn't do his job. You didn't account for these holes. How could you be a credible accident reconstructionist when you talk about some holes, but you don't talk about these holes? Knowing all along the holes that Attorney Brennan is trying to impeach Dr. Wolf on were caused by the Commonwealth's own criminalists as part of sampling. I don't believe one could come up with more misleading, misdirecting elucidation of testimony than this on the key issue in the case. We have irrefutable, objective evidence, and I will state that it's more than interesting that none of these exhibits that Your Honor now has marked for identification were put in evidence by the Commonwealth. Isn't it some coincidence that these are the one, and the only one of the, with regard to the hoodie, the back of it's not in, all of the rest of them are, but these
No, the jury's not in there, guys.
aren't. Your Honor, I think there is one and only one conclusion, in that this is intentional, that it is a matter of such significance and of such misconduct and intentional that it merits the sanction of a mistrial with prejudice. The amount of effort, the amount of work, I can't even begin to think to remedy this in front of the jury, to go backwards on this. That should not befall the defense. That should befall the prosecution. Ms. Reed, again, is entitled, like every other defendant in this wonderful Commonwealth, to a fair trial. The prosecution is supposed to be held to a higher standard, to do justice, to create a fair trial. This is the antithesis of a fair trial. Miss Reed's rights under the Constitution and the Declaration of Rights have once again been trampled on, and it is becoming evidently clear the more desperate the prosecution gets because it can't prove its theory, including its own medical examiner can't support them, that they're now resorting to conduct like this. Your Honor, at some point, this has to come to an end. At some point, Ms. Reed's rights have to be protected. At some point, confidence in the judicial system, the public's confidence in the judicial system, that prosecutors will conduct themselves with their duty to present a fair trial. That has to be enforced at some point for Ms. Reed to receive the fair trial that she and every other defendant in this Commonwealth is entitled to.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brennan.
Mr. Brady lists himself. Thank you, Kenneth.
Your Honor, my brief review of the lab paperwork and looking at the hoodie, it appears that I made a mistake. And so I think what should happen is there should be a curative instruction. There should be a stipulation. The court should instruct the jury that during Mr. Brennan's cross-examination, he asked Dr. Wolf about holes on the sweatshirt or holes on the back of Mr. O'Keefe's sweatshirt. The parties agree the holes were made by a crime lab technician. This was done inadvertently but should not have been asked. The court should strike the questions and the answers. And you should instruct the jury there to completely disregard any questions or answers about the holes in the back of the sweatshirt. And the court should allow the defense to introduce the lab paperwork.
All right. So I'm not going to allow the mistrial. So let's see. What I'm going to do is instruct the jurors. I'm going to put in what's been marked for identification, Y, Z, A, and B. 4 of each letters. I'm going to put all these into evidence. They can be displayed for the jury, and I'm going to instruct the jury that during the cross-examination of Dr. Wolf, Mr. Brennan asked him about holes in the back of the sweatshirt and whether or not they perhaps could have come from events or implying or something like this. I instruct you, you are not permitted to draw any inference that these could have come from the events of January 29th,
That's not good enough.
22. I instruct you further that those holes were made by the criminalist, Ms. Harnett, during the course of her inspection and sampling of the sweatshirt on, I just put the dates aside. Chrissy, can I see those, please? It's unclear for me. Do you have a better idea, Mr. Lessie, what day these were done? Is it all of those 3 days? Now I see if
Did Karen somehow at some point in time void her rights as a citizen? Because she's trampling way the hell over him right along with Hanky. They're two-stepping together.
4th day. 5/11, no, I'm sorry, 5/11, 5/12, 5/11, 2022, 5/12, 2023, and 6/18, 2023. Those are the 3 dates.
Your Honor, Article May 18th, when the defense filed a motion to test. So that's the appropriate date.
So May 18th?
Yes,
Catnip, pick me up.
and that's 2023.
We're going.
All right. That's what I'm going to do. Is there anything further you want me to include in the instruction? Your rights are saved regarding the mistrial. I disagree with you on that.
Bullshit, they're saved.
I'm not going to go any more into the argument, but I appreciate the opportunity to provide perhaps further instruction for Your Honor.
All right, so I'll hear you. Go ahead.
So the first, Your Honor, is with regard to two things. One, I would like the opportunity to have a hoodie sweatshirt held up. Because that's what happened.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So that's number one as part of the stipulation. And then
I'm not wording it as a stipulation, and I'm not saying it was inadvertent. I am giving an instruction that they cannot consider it for this purpose, and I am allowing these to be placed into evidence. So it's not.
Call me crazy, but why can't you just let them say, he lied to your asses right here just a little bit ago. He outright lied.
Not a stipulation. It's from me, which I think is more forceful.
I misspoke, Your Honor. I agree, not a stipulation, but just as Your Honor said, with regard to the fact that Your Honor said they're not to take an inference, I would respectfully request that this be handled just like Your Honor did with regard to the rock at 34 Fairview. Your Honor said that rock wasn't present, on about the time of it.
So I do say that when I say Ms. Harnett did this. So rewording it just a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
Mr. Brennan asked Dr. Wolf about the sweatshirt. I instruct you that you are not permitted to draw any inference that those holes were a result
It is catnip. Come pick
of
me
the
up.
events on January 29th, all right, this is what I'm gonna say. So if you're not gonna listen to it, that's fine. I've already said it. All right, we can bring the jury in.
What's up with the attitude, Bev? They're
That's
not
what
the
I
ones
said,
that did this.
Mr. Alessi.
Bitch.
Okay. All right, so it's what I said, Mr. Alessi. I instruct you that you're not permitted to draw an inference that the holes came from the events of January 29, 2025. Those holes were made by the criminalist Ms. Harnett during the course of her inspection and sampling of the sweatshirt on May 18, 2023.
Is it possible, Your Honor, last comment, instead of not drawing inference, you should conclude that these holes were not present in the booty construction. They were caused by the criminalist.
So I can just leave that all out then and just say, Mr. Brennan asked Dr. Wolf about the holes in the sweatshirt. I instruct you that those holes were made by the criminalist Ms. Harnett during the course of her inspection and sampling of the sweatshirt on May 18th. It's
Mr. Alessi, ask her to say he lied to you again because he lied during opening statements as well.
probably neater that way anyway. All right, let's bring him in, please.
Are you kidding me?
Judge, just as a housekeeping matter, the sweatshirt's been taken out of the plastic sheet, and it might need to be remarked. The plastic sheeting was marked, but if we're going to put it into a bag or something like that, it might need to have it marked. But we don't need to do that right this second.
There is a petition already. There is a petition on change.org to remove Bev, but it's not going to do any good in my opinion. If they could do this to Karen, they could do this to you, and me.
Thank you.
Just keep that in mind, you guys. My husband is sitting in the driveway venting his anger in the car.
All right, thank you.
And she got Person of the Year. What do I think happened is what I know happened is Hank just lied to the jury, tried to pull a fast one saying that there were holes in the back of the sweater. That happened when Mr. O'Keefe was hit by a car. Those holes, that was cut. That was done by the criminalist. He outright lied to them. Keep in mind, Hank is on the Brady list, otherwise known as the Gilgo list. One of those reasons is because he lied in an opening statement, saying, you will hear, played on a recording, Miss Reed say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. That was also a lie, and he's rested his case. That's why he's on the Brady list, for one of many reasons. Like, I'm having palpitations. Like, this is...
Mr. Alessi, you're simply going to stand and hold the sweatshirt, right?
I'm, like, shaking. I'm so mad.
So this is exhibit 200.
You're right. Mistake my ass. He did that on purpose. He didn't think he'd be caught. Are you seriously reporting me for this? Get over yourself.
No, I want you to hold it up with the back.
Just in case I get banana, make sure you guys follow my YouTube, Michelle's Criminal Musing, because we just got reported for this.
You do that first, and then I'll give the instruction.
Thank you.
All right, so
Jack
Mr.
kiss my
Alessi, why don't
ass.
you just, where are you going to stand?
Pardon me?
Where are you going to stand?
I would suggest, Your Honor, right about here.
All right?
My behavior is
So you
not
can
in line,
stand
they
there, you
say.
can hold it up, then I'm going to ask you to put it down, and then I'll give the instruction.
And then I will return. Mr. Chairman.
I can't reset with over 900
Yes,
people in here.
Court officer.
Bear with me a moment, Your Honor.
My behavior is not in line with the TikTok policy. That's what it said.
All right, then we will take the luncheon recess. When we come back, we'll have the voir dire.
This is my second time getting reported today.
Is Dr. Lapisada here?
She's here, she's on next.
John's here.
For just the measurements?
There's not even an option to appeal it. Yeah, make sure you guys go over and subscribe to my YouTube, because that's where I'll go if I lose here. I'll be on YouTube. Yes, for anybody just coming in, the prosecutor, the CW, Hanky Panky, he literally said that there were holes in the back of the sweater from the accident. The hole, it's the same as here, Michelle's Criminal Musings. The holes that were in the back of his sweater, they were not there from time of accident. The criminalist cut them. He straight out, bold-faced lied. 100%. McCabe's can kiss my ass too. McCabe's, McGilbert's, all of them.
Well, I say it, and I'm going to tell her what they are, so.
But Hank admitted he messed up. Love you too. Just make sure you guys go subscribe to my YouTube, because if I lose it here, I'm just going to go over there. I'm sick of fighting with TikTok. The fact that Hank said that he messed up, it's not a matter of messing up. You got caught. You got caught and you know it. Arguing it wouldn't get you anywhere. I have no idea, Amanda. My ESPN wasn't working on that topic
Jurors, I
today.
appreciate your patience. Mr. Leslie, why don't you hold the exhibit up for the jurors, please?
I talk. This is a talking place. Sorry.
All right, jurors, that's the back of the sweatshirt that was shown to Dr. Wolf.
Michelle's Criminal Musings.
Thank you. Why don't you go ahead and put it back in the bag? So, jurors, I instruct you that those holes were made by the criminalist, Ms. Harnett, during the course of her inspection and sampling
It's Michelle's Criminal Musings.
of the sweatshirt back on May 18th, 2023. Okay? So, I know your lunches are here, but I think we'll, Mr. Yannetti, your next witness, please.
Yeah, it's the same exact name as the one I have here, guys. The link's also in my bio. Actually, it is at Musings 101. So Michelle's Criminal Musings at Michelle's Musings 101. I'm sorry, I got my own channel wrong. Oh my God. No, she did not discuss. No, she didn't.
Michelle, this is the evidence given to the court and jury in the case down here, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
All right, good afternoon. Go ahead, Mr. Yannetti, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. In a good loud voice, would you please state your name and spell your last name?
Sure. My name is John Tedeman. It's Tedeman.
Do you work, sir?
I do.
What do you do for work?
I am a private investigator.
Do you work for someone else, or do you have your own firm?
I have my own firm.
What is the name?
Forum Investigations.
And that's Forum?
Correct.
I'd like to ask you a little bit about your education
Before he starts asking, I'm going to be off camera eating my food, but I'll still be here. I'm right here. I'm just turning it away. Nobody needs to see that.
and work history. You're from this area?
Yes, Boston proper.
I'm sorry?
Yes, from Boston.
Where did you attend high school?
The Roxbury Latin School.
When did you graduate?
1996.
Where did you go to college?
I went to Princeton University.
What year did you graduate?
2000.
What did you do after graduation from Princeton University?
I became a federal agent.
Where?
The agency or the location?
Oh, I meant the location. Sorry.
I started out in Los Angeles and then I was back in.
Okay. If you're not following me, make sure you follow me now. We're going to reset. I'm making my mods nervous since we got reported and I haven't reset yet. So make sure you guys drop a follow. We're going to reset. I'm going to end it and restart it immediately so you guys don't have to miss anything. I will literally end it and just restart it. I'll see you guys back in a couple minutes.
Alright, I'm going back. They fucked up my order.
Oh God. What'd they get wrong this time?
They gave me a 4-piece mozzarella sticks instead of the 8-piece that I asked for.
Mm-hmm.
I asked for onion rings, large one. That doesn't look large, but whatever. With zesty sauce and extra zesty sauce, which I paid for.
So you're gonna go all the way back for your zesty sauce?
The mozzarella sticks.
You could just call them and have them write it down. It's up to you, babe. I cannot believe that just happened. Now, here's the question, though. How many of you are surprised? I know it's been so long. I've missed you all. So how many of you are actually surprised that she didn't give a mistrial? She says, your rights are safe, but there's no mistrial. Oh, gosh, you guys missed it. I screen recorded your guys' reactions, so I will put them up. But I just have to try to mince it with the live replay, because when you have a live replay, it does not put your comments in there. So that's why I was screen recording, so I could see your guys' comments. Yes, they did straight up lie. And she says, your rights are safe. What the hell? Mine is too. I'm still getting palpitations. Like, I cannot believe this. You know, looking at Karen, you could see how much of a toll this is taking on her. Sue the hell out of them, Karen. Sue the hell out of all of them. Every single one of them. Do it. What's going on is we're watching the Karen Reed trial. I know, you and me both. We're watching the Karen Reed trial. The Commonwealth just outright lied, tried to pull a fast one, got caught, so they moved for a mistrial with prejudice, and it was declined. Yeah. So now we're on our next witness. I feel like we've given everybody adequate time, so I'm going to go ahead and press play. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Spencer.
And what years were you a federal agent in Boston and Los Angeles?
2002 through 2008.
And what agency did you work for?
I worked for the Inspector General for the Social Security Administration, Office of Investigations.
And what type of work did you do in terms of investigations?
We did fraud investigations, identity theft, credit card fraud, fugitive operations, all sorts of things, anything involving a Social Security number, basically.
And why did you leave in 2008?
I went to law school.
Where?
Suffolk.
What year did you graduate from Suffolk Law School?
2013.
And what did you do after graduation from Suffolk Law School?
I've had a small solo law practice and worked as a real estate broker.
And what type of law did you practice?
Mostly real estate law.
When did you start forum investigations?
In April of 2024.
Are you still practicing as a lawyer?
Not very much, no. I still have my license, but my bar card, but I don't practice much.
All right. How did you become involved in this case?
I was contacted by somebody from your office last Tuesday, I believe, the 3rd.
Okay. And was it explained to you why you were brought in at this late juncture?
This is John Tiedemann or Tedman. He is a licensed PI, guys.
Yes, it was explained that there was another investigator who had a health issue and would not be able to testify. So would I be able to help out with a small assignment?
What were you asked to do?
I was asked to travel to 34 Fairview Road in Canton and take some measurements and photographs.
Did you agree to do that?
Yes.
When did you go?
On June 3rd. I believe I arrived about 5:30 at 34 Fairview.
Okay, and when you say June 3rd, we are talking about last week.
Yes,
correct?
last week, yes.
Whom did you see when you
No,
got
it's
there?
not.
One of the homeowners, an older gentleman, greeted me when I pulled in the driveway.
All right, and it was not the Albert family, correct?
It was not.
Did that individual give you permission to enter onto the property?
He did.
What did you bring with you?
I brought an iPhone as a camera, and I brought a wheeled measuring device.
All right, can you describe what a wheeled measuring device?
Guys, we practice something called patience with parameters, meaning we have very little patience to none. We fast forward on breaks and we rewind when needed. So no, that's not 100% live. We are delayed.
Yeah, it's like a handle with two wheels at the bottom, and in the middle there's like a little odometer that measures feet and inches.
And if we could, Mr. Wolf, could we display the photo of the front of 34 Fairview that's already in evidence with the court's permission?
Yes.
Thank you for the follow.
And exhibit number is that, Mr. Wolf? 46. Do you see exhibit 46 on the screen, sir?
I do.
Do you recognize that?
I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
That is 34 Fairview Road in Canton.
Thank you for the
When
follow.
you got to 34 Fairview Road in Canton on June 3rd, did you make note of the various entrances to the residence on the front, from the front of the house?
I did.
Could you describe those for the jury?
Yes, on the left side center of the building, there's what I would call the front door. Up those 4 steps, I guess. Then, if you were to look farther to the right, there at the end of the main building, there's another door, which I guess is the
Why is
second
this
front
black box?
door or side door.
And with regard to that door, is it fair to say that faces outward, faces toward the road?
It does. It
Thank
faces
you.
directly towards the road.
Okay, continue, please.
And then past that to the right, there are the windows. And then if you can see the little red line, that is a side door that goes into the garage. Yes, right there.
It's been highlighted there?
Yes.
Okay. And then there are obviously the 2 garage doors.
And the 2 garage car doors, yes.
4 cars to enter. Okay.
Yes.
We can take that down. Mr. Wilk, put the lights on. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Bev making her grocery list, writing down White Claw, White Claw, White Claw, White Claw.
So I placed a photograph in front of you. Can you identify that for the jury?
Yes, that appears to be a photograph that I took of the side front door, the secondary front door, the garage door, and the 2 car doors to the garage.
Okay, particularly with regard to the side pedestrian entrance into the garage, the red door that you identified in the previous exhibit. Does that photograph fairly and accurately represent the layout of the house in terms of the outside and the entrances that you've previously testified to?
Yes, it does.
I would offer that, Your Honor.
All right, can I see those, please, sir?
This is on YouTube. It's not on a TV station, it's YouTube. Sidebar. Can a judge be put into the Brady list? That's something I want to know. If a judge can be put on the Brady list. Because we all know there's enough reasons for it. I literally have gotten a yes, no, yes, no, yes, yes, no. You guys crack me up. Alright, let me see how much we got to fast forward through a sidebar if we want to get through the sidebar. This is what the patience with parameters is about. It says no. Thank you. Keep in mind, Brennan is on the Brady list.
Per.
It's right after this, so it's going to be kicking on right here in a minute. The Rubin room. We don't know yet. They were supposed to rule that during this morning's break, but they had to rule a mistrial, but
All right.
so I don't know.
So we'll fix that during the luncheon break, Ms. Giannetti, to what I said. All right. So can we get Dr. Laposada in here? We'll do a very brief voir dire of her.
They're about to do it. A voir dire for the doctor. I know, right? Dr. I don't know how you say the name, like Lampanata. It's never in front of the jury. Never. Thank you for the follows, guys. I'm just trying to quickly eat my lunch. I call them liars too. They're doing a voir dire. They better let her in.
I do.
All right. Good afternoon, Doctor.
Thank
Your
you.
Honor.
We're going to do a brief voir dire, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Are you
Mr.
serious?
Jackson, foundation on.
Your lab is not eligible for recommendation and is restricted in search results. Because it contains unoriginal or reproduced content, how is this unoriginal or reproduced? This is just happening in the court of law. Hell yeah, I'm going to appeal this. Those of you that keep reporting me, grow the hell up. It's that simple. Grow up. Grow up.
Just those 2 points, please. Sure.
Thank you, Allison. See, the thing is, this is true crime. We discuss true crime. That's what we do here. It's called a discussion. We study and discuss. It's just the way it is.
Your Honor, for purposes of expediting.
I've been reported
does the
3
court
times
wish
already.
for me to go through the foundation of the doctor's education, training, and background and experience, which is going to take a minute.
Yeah, no, just focus on the foundation for the dog bites and focus on the foundation for what's been termed to be perhaps biomechanical engineering.
Yeah, this can't be reproduced content as it's happening live, and it's being streamed directly from the courtroom to all of us. So there's no part of this at all that is reproduced content. Look into it further instead of making assumptions.
Evidence, those 2 areas, and if there is support or methodology in Dr. Laposada's resume to point to exactly where that is. Okay? And I expect this whole voir dire should take no more than 15 minutes.
I'll do my best, Your Honor. Doctor, could you please state your name for the record? Spell your last name into the record, please.
Yes, Dr. Elizabeth Laposada. That's spelled Laposata.
Dr. Laposada, what do you do for a living?
I'm a medical doctor subspecializing in forensic pathology.
Dr. Laposada, I'm going to move very, very quickly past the bulk of your training and experience over decades. I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions. Where did you get your medical degree?
University of Maryland School of Medicine.
And do you have any subordinate degrees to your medical degree?
Yes, I have board certifications in anatomic and forensic pathology.
She seems strong,
How long
right?
have you had those board certifications?
Like 35, 40 years.
Have you ever worked
If there's somebody not respecting, you don't have to give them a warning. Just help them out instantly.
as a medical examiner in any capacity?
Yes, I have.
As a chief medical examiner for any agency or governmental agency or state?
Yes, I have.
Describe that for the court, please.
I was a chief medical examiner for the state of Rhode Island for 12 years.
How many autopsies would you say in general that you have conducted yourself?
Over 3,000.
How many autopsies in your experience as a supervisor in one capacity or another would you say you've supervised over your tenure?
Over 7,000.
Of those 7,000 that you have supervised, have any of those dealt with motor vehicle incidents?
Many.
Have any of those dealt with motor vehicle and pedestrian incidents?
Many.
Give me an idea, if you have a number in mind, how many motor vehicle pedestrian autopsies you have been involved with, either directly or from a supervisory standpoint.
Hundreds, over 500 at least.
That's got to be enough for you, right, Hank? Over 500?
Do you have a
Appeal not
significant background and
approved.
training
Whatever.
in the cause and manner of death?
Yes, I do.
Is that the main goal or the main job or duty performed by a medical examiner?
Yes, it is.
Is it also significant in terms of supervising other subordinate medical examiners who may work under your charge?
Yes, you have to make sure they're doing it right.
Is there a methodology that you have employed and that is standard in the industry to employ, including differential diagnoses and inferential thinking in terms of coming to conclusions related to manner and cause of death?
Yes.
Can you explain that for the court in brief, please? I know you probably have a very lengthy explanation. Do it as briefly as you can, with being as succinct as you can.
Certainly, to determine cause of manner and death, we look at scene investigation, autopsy findings, police and witness statements, and medical history. And using that information, we come up with a differential diagnosis or a list of things that might have happened to that person to cause them to die. And from that list, then we see where all the science and all the data, which one it supports. So we've looked at several different things. I always told my staff, I said, how can we be wrong? What else could this?
You know, when you make an accusation on somebody that sits there and tries to save people's life for a living, and you say that she's fixing a lie, that's a pretty heavy claim.
Be. So you have to make what in medicine is called a differential diagnosis and then see what the facts support.
Did you employ a differential diagnosis in this case?
Yes, I did.
Do you have to be at the scene in order to understand or analyze information that you get in a police report or photographs or things of that nature?
No, then we use the police investigation and scene investigation, crime lab reports, photographs taken by the crime lab, by the police at the scene.
Have you qualified as a expert forensic and anatomical pathologist in other courts in Massachusetts and other states?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times would you say you've qualified?
Hundreds.
I want to talk for a second about a specific area of interest for the court.
Is there a problem in the chat? I'm just trying to eat my sandwich still. If there's a problem in the chat, just you can get rid of them if you need to. We don't have to give warnings.
Were you provided information and photographs of John O'Keefe's arm and his arm injuries included with the rest of the autopsy information that you received?
Yes.
Were you asked to make a determination about the nature of the wounds specific to his right arm? I know that there's other injuries to Mr. O'Keefe, but I'd like to relegate your attention to the right arm.
Yes, absolutely. That's what the forensic pathologist does.
Without telling me what your opinion was, were you able to come to an opinion or conclusion about the source of those injuries?
I was.
What methodology did you employ to come to that opinion or conclusion, or those opinions and conclusions?
My experience and knowledge and training, along with the appearance of the wounds on the right arm, which fit a pattern, and then knowing that it fits a pattern, then I can try to look for, okay, what is the item that
Allison, they've been here all day. I've been getting trolled since I hit live this morning.
caused this pattern? And that would be part of the differential diagnosis that I've used for many, many years in making diagnoses and determinations.
Have you ever been trained in pattern recognition?
Yes.
In what capacity?
Oh, as a forensic pathologist and medical examiner, a large amount of our work has to do with recognizing pattern injuries, because
Hank doesn't want her called as an expert witness. That's why.
that's so important, because it gives us an idea of what might have caused that injury. And then that's clearly of a lot of importance to the police and the investigators as they're trying then to say, well, what could have caused that injury? And so the forensic pathologist could say, well, I think it was X or Y. Then they can carry out their investigation armed with that information as to what might have caused the injury on the body.
Is there such a thing in the world of pathologists as medical literature or academic literature that deals with pattern recognition?
Yes.
Are you familiar with some or most of those publications?
Absolutely.
Have you ever yourself taught classes on pattern recognition?
Yes.
At what level? High school, graduate school?
At the medical school level.
How often have you taught courses on pattern recognition?
Oh, at least a handful.
When was the last time you taught a course in pattern recognition?
Let's see, last month.
Do any of the courses that you've either taken, well, let's take them one at a time. Have any of the courses that you've ever taken dealt with wound pattern recognition as it relates to animal wounds?
Courses that I've taken?
That you have taken?
It's part of our basic training and understanding of a forensic pathologist. The board exams we take test for that. Those injuries are described in our basic forensic pathology and medicine textbooks. They appear continually in our medical and scientific journals.
Is that an important skill set to develop, wound pattern recognition as it pertains to animals as a forensic pathologist?
Absolutely.
Do any of those academic courses that you've either taken or reference works that you just referred to, do any of those deal with dog bites and claw marks specifically?
Oh, yes, they do.
In the courses that you have taught related to wound pattern recognition, have you ever taught on the subject of dog bite wounds and the recognition of dog bite wounds?
Yes, I have.
When was the last time you did that?
Let's see, it would be in the course in the medical school. Would have been several years ago.
Doctor, with regard to staying with dog bite wounds specifically, have you ever performed an autopsy that specifically dealt with dog bite wounds, known dog bite wounds?
Yes.
So you've seen them in person?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever been qualified in any court in the land, state or federal court, on the issue of wound pattern recognition as it pertains to dog bites?
Yes.
When was that?
The last one I can recall was a federal case involving questions of a police dog.
Did you engage in that case? Did you engage in a differential diagnosis to determine, in your opinion and conclusion, your expert opinion and conclusion, the source of the wounds that you saw?
Yes.
Did the court qualify you to speak on that issue in court?
Yes.
Did you in fact testify in furtherance of your opinions and conclusions in that case?
I did.
I want to turn for a second to motor vehicle accidents or motor vehicle incidents. do you also, some of the same questions, have you also performed autopsies on known motor vehicle pedestrian incidents?
Yes,
How many times would you say you've performed an autopsy on those issues?
hundreds, maybe even 1,000.
Is that a relatively common occurrence, as sad as it may be, motor vehicle pedestrian incidents in the field of forensic pathology?
Yes, it is, unfortunately.
Have you performed autopsies personally as well as supervised autopsies on motor vehicle pedestrian incidents?
Yes.
And what methodology do you employ in furtherance of coming to opinions and conclusions regarding cause and manner of death specific to motor vehicle pedestrian incidents?
Well, we look at the scene investigation. We look at what the motor vehicle looked like. We look at hospital records, the autopsy, and then trying to understand how the injuries that the pedestrian sustained, what those mechanisms were, and how the injuries show that that person interacted with the motor vehicle.
In doing so, in coming up with injury mechanism analysis, is it important to look at and analyze the actual vehicle that is allegedly involved?
Yes, you want to look at photographs of that or see it in person.
Is that part of the normal methodology that is employed in the field?
Yes, you must look at the photographs. You must see what the vehicle looks like.
Do you also look at the other side of that handshake? In other words, look at the body of the individual that was injured, or well, in your case, killed, the decedent, in order to marry the two and
Please use safe words. We love the TikTok shop. The TikTok shop is great, et cetera, et cetera.
determine whether or not the cause and manner of death had something to do with the motor vehicle, a motor vehicle impact?
Absolutely.
Describe that for us, please. What are some of the things that you look for that's part of the normal methodology that a forensic pathologist employs?
Well, when we examine a fatality from a motor vehicle, we want to try to understand what led up to it, how the impact occurred, and then what happened after. So we would study information about the injuries to see if we can relate them to certain pattern injuries that would be on the car. There are also evidence of transfer of energy and injuries that can result from the transfer of energy. So using the body, looking at the scene and the vehicle, understanding the motions of the vehicle and how they would have produced or would not have produced certain injuries on the body.
I'm going to take them one at a time. With regard to animal wounds or dog bites, were you able, in this case, using differential diagnoses, using inferential thinking, and using the skills that you've developed over decades of your education, training, and background, were you able to, without telling me what the conclusion is, were you able to come to a conclusion or opinion as to whether or not the wounds that you saw on John O'Keefe's right arm were consistent or inconsistent with a dog bite or claw marks?
I was able to come to a definite scientific conclusion.
And
And is that conclusion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
Yes,
Is it to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
yes, it
Is
is.
it consistent with the training and methodology that you've employed over decades?
It is.
I'm going to ask you the same series of questions with regard to the motor vehicle incident. Did you review the autopsy report in an effort to look at John O'Keefe's entire body and all of the injuries that he sustained, not simply his right arm?
I looked at everything.
In doing so, were you able to come to an opinion or a conclusion as to the mechanism of injury and whether or not his injuries in total were consistent or inconsistent with a motor vehicle incident or impact?
I was able to come to a scientific conclusion.
And without telling me what that scientific conclusion is at this point, did you employ the same methodology that you explained to the court earlier concerning differential diagnoses, inferential thinking, and decades of training, the education, training, and background that you described to the court, in coming to your conclusions about whether or not the cause and manner of death was consistent or inconsistent with a motor vehicle impact?
Yes.
Your Honor, is there any area that I have not covered to the court's satisfaction?
So I'll let Mr. Brennan ask questions. I may have a couple of questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was.
Good afternoon, Dr. LaPosada.
Good afternoon.
If we could start with dog bites.
Yes.
Did you have any
Two-toned
specific
on both.
training in wound pattern recognition regarding dog bites?
Yes, it's in our literature standard textbook. It's standard information that is needed to be a forensic pathologist.
When did you receive training regarding pattern recognition of dog bites?
Beginning when I took my board, starting in 1983.
And what did that entail?
It entailed reading literature. It entailed reading the standard forensic pathology and medicine textbooks. And it is a sub-part of understanding pattern injuries. Dog bite injuries are described in all our journals and all our standard forensic textbooks.
Yeah, back the hell up off our
Other than
ante.
reading about it when you were studying for your boards, did you have any practical experience where you were engaging in the field in pattern recognition analysis regarding dog bites?
Yes, I've had many cases where there have been dog bite injuries.
When you were studying for your boards, were you doing that, or after you
Well,
completed your boards?
I'm telling you that that it's such a basic part that during studying for boards, it's a section that we study. And I, of course, had many cases since then.
Did you receive any education past reading literature for the boards, where you took classes, seminars, where it taught specifically wound pattern recognition regarding dog bites?
It's all part of wound pattern recognition. It's usually included in literature. If there's our lectures about patterned injuries, it's a subset of pattern injuries like hammer injuries, like gunshot wounds, like baseball bat injuries. There's a huge number of types of patterned injuries that are part and parcel of what a medical examiner has to understand and diagnose.
I agree.
Do you remember taking any specific classes or any specific training about wound pattern recognition relative to specifically dog bites?
Yes, it's in all the literature that I keep up with.
Did you take any training or did you attend any classes that involved wound pattern recognition of dog bites?
Yes, it's often included in our seminars and case reports.
Do you list any of those classes or seminars on your resume?
Hank lied about the wound or the cuts in the back of the sweater. That was done by the criminologist. It was not when she hit him. He outright lied to the jury, not for the first time.
That I took? No.
Can you identify one of those classes, where it was, when it was, who taught it, what the name of it was, regarding wound pattern recognition relative to dog bites?
I can't give you a specific time and date.
Stop it.
Can you remember the name of the last class or seminar that you took or completed that has to do with wound pattern recognition relative to dog bites?
I can't recall.
He's being very extra.
Is there anything in your report that identifies any of your specific education or training on wound pattern recognition as it relates to dog bites?
It's in my CV. It's basic knowledge that a forensic pathologist has to have.
I will ask you about the CV, but Dr. Lapasada, I just wanted to ask you about your report first. Is there anything in your report that points to any specific training
In the report that I wrote on this case?
In your report relative to wound pattern recognition as to dog bites? Is there anything in your report that identifies that for us?
In my report, I put together the case of what happened to Mr. O'Keefe.
Okay. As far as your experience, though, do you ever make any note in your report about your specific experience and training about wound pattern recognition for dog bites in your report?
No, it's not appropriate.
In your CV, is there any way you can point to us where you had specific training for wound pattern recognition relative to dog bites, where we can see that on your CV?
No, it doesn't say dog bite training specifically, no.
Do you have anything on your CV that specifically talks about wound pattern recognition for animals?
Those are usually classified within other pattern recognition.
Do you have anything specific that would alert us in your CV that you've had such specific training on wound pattern recognition for animals?
Other than I've passed my board exams and have practiced for 40 years.
Have you provided a list of cases where you have testified in court specifically about wound pattern recognition of dog bites?
I don't know if I have given a list. I don't keep those kinds of lists.
You mentioned one case about law enforcement dogs in federal court. When was that case?
Several years ago.
How long would you say, if you had a guess?
He really is.
How long was it ago?
Yes, please.
A couple years, around COVID time.
Did you testify in that case about law enforcement police dogs?
I testified about an individual who had injuries, and there was a question as to whether Canine Caper, who was the dog's name, inflicted any injuries on this person.
Good point, Nita.
This was in Boston federal court?
Springfield, yeah, Boston, right.
Is there a difference between law enforcement dog bites and domestic dog bites?
Well, they have the same kind of dog jaw.
So you would say
They're taught differently, obviously.
Would the wound pattern recognition be the same or different if you were looking at it from a law enforcement dog perspective or a domestic dog perspective?
The dog would be the same.
No, she's sure not.
Do you have any other cases that you've testified about wound pattern recognition relative to dog bites?
I'll tell you what
I've
she's
testified
thinking.
in hundreds of cases. I can't say that I remember any particular ones.
Would you be able to identify any of those for us today?
No, too many.
That's what she's thinking about, what I just showed you.
I'll ask you about accident reconstruction experience. And I mean this respectfully, you don't have a biomechanical or a biomedical engineering type background, do you?
No, I'm not a mechanical engineer.
You're not certified by ACTAR or any of those type of organizations, are you, Doctor?
No, I relate the injuries on the body to the motor vehicle.
Have you ever been to a car collision scene and investigated a car collision scene firsthand?
Yes.
And when you've done that, do you have a chance to look at all of the physical materials, the properties?
Well, when I go to a scene of a motor vehicle fatality, I look at the pieces that are scattered around. I look at the body. I look at blood stain patterns. I look at damage to the car.
Excuse me, ma'am. Auntie, excuse me. It gave us a new flash goal, guys. So if we can get 40 people to send that gift just one time, it's 1 coin each. This would be our 28th win. I counted a win. Thank you so much, guys.
And then the body would go back for the examination at the medical examiner's office, and there would be further examination of the scene by accident reconstructionists and examination of the automobile by specialists who could figure out what motor vehicles do. So it's a part of correlating the injuries to the vehicle.
You've never written an accident reconstruction report yourself,
Oh, yeah.
have you?
No, that's not what I do.
I understand.
There, my backup sent us one
In this
too.
case, what materials did you look at? Because I don't think in your report mentions the materials that you studied. What materials did you study as the basis for any potential opinions regarding accident reconstruction?
Well, so you would like for me to tell you everything I studied in this case?
Yes,
I have my list here. Should I read
that's
from
fine by
that?
me.
Okay.
Probably.
I studied the autopsy report, neuropathology report, toxicology, and associated paperwork from the medical examiner's office,
Good
I studied 104 autopsy and neuropathology photographs, 70 additional autopsy photos taken by Trooper Watson. I studied Mr. O'Keefe's medical records from the Canton Fire Department and EMS run sheet. I studied the Good Samaritan medical records that also included 35 photographs of the body.
Keep in mind, everything he's having her say now, he's going to say again once the jury comes in, if not more. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. We need 6 more of the I love you so muches. For 1 coin each, can we get who will be our final chosen 6? Will it be you? Will it be you? What about you back there?
I looked at evidence of Mr. O'Keefe's clothing, blue jeans, t-shirt, sweatshirt, boxers, and sneakers. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I looked at photographs that were taken at the crime lab of pieces of plastic.
We did it. No, we got it. We have
red and clear.
Excuse me, ma'am. Nancy, excuse me. We have our 28th goal. We're almost to 30. Thank you so much, guys. You knocked that out of the park. You were not messing around. You're like, let me tell you. And you did.
I studied photographs of the outside of Ms. Reed's SUV as it was parked at the police garage. I studied the Canton Police report, incident report, about 100 photographs taken by Canton Police of the outside scene.
It's funny you ask that, Nifty, because if he wrote down all his questions, does that mean he was premeditated and lying to the jury today? That shows premeditation, does it not? Somebody get Hank's notebook. Prove that he premeditated this by writing down his questions today. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Totally.
That gave me a very good idea of what happened to Mr. O'Keefe.
Were you involved in the case Cromwell versus Daniel Tompkins?
Remind me about that. I've been involved in hundreds of cases.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, but he got caught
This
today.
case was in Franklin County Superior Court. It was a case where you had an opportunity to present testimony and regarding blood spatter, which you have a qualified expert for. And that, I'm sorry.
Well, that doesn't quite say what I did, but I remember the case you're talking about.
Did you attempt, or was there an attempt to have you qualified to talk about accident reconstruction in that case?
No, I'm not an accident reconstructionist.
Hank, I think you're getting the last witness in this one confused by a lot. A lot. Do your homework, sir.
Do you remember whether or not there was an attempt that was denied to try to have you talk about accident reconstruction in that case?
I have no idea. I'm not an accident reconstructionist.
I love our auntie.
Do you have anything on your CV specifically that offers any background on accident reconstruction or accident reconstruction type classes or seminars?
I don't think so.
She just said she's not one, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Lapasada.
No, you're welcome.
So can I just ask Dr.
Yes.
Lapasada about, you said you've been involved in autopsies with dog bites.
Yes.
How many?
I've done thousands of cases,
Erica.
probably 50 or so, and it's not always the cause of death. And then I've supervised maybe 75 more where that dog bites were involved in the case.
When was the last one?
Let's see, probably 2 years ago.
Okay. Any questions based on my questions? All right, you are all set in action.
Does anybody feel like the fact that she asked if there's any questions based on her questions when she looked at Hank, does anybody feel like she was leading him in a certain direction? I'm going to show you guys a different lip color. You got to help me pick.
Dr. Lapasada, we'll get to you sometime this afternoon.
Thank you.
I do want to give everybody a break, including counsel. Can we do less than 5-minute arguments on this?
You were already trying to rush them? This one or the other one? You didn't? Hold on. I don't think it's anywhere but the TikTok shop. GLITBALM, one word.
Okay.
The color is
qualified
10.
to speak to both the issue of wound pattern recognition as it relates to dog bites,
You have this one?
specifically, as well as cause and manner of death as it relates to.
They were expecting approximately Tuesday, but there's been a lot that's happened since then.
Vehicle pedestrian incidents or impacts. The doctor has an incredibly impressive resume.
It's very red.
Just a touch of which we reviewed during the course of this 1 year for the.
Yes, ma'am.
But with regard
How you
to
doing?
the dog bite specifically, she talked
Come
about
here.
the differential diagnosis that she undertakes and undertook in this case. She talks about the inferential thinking that she undertook in this case. She talks about how that is the proper methodology in the scientific community and specific to the forensic pathology community in order to come to a determination about wounds and the source of wounds, i.e., was it a dog, was it another animal, was it another source, was it lacerations versus abrasions, things of that nature. She's obviously done, as she indicated, thousands, if not climbing real close to 10,000 autopsies that she's either supervised or that she's conducted herself. She actually has, notably, as per the court's last question, she's actually undertaken personally somewhere close to, I thought it was probably 5 autopsies herself dealing with dog bites. They're not always the cause of death, but sometimes it's attendant to the injuries that led to a different cause of death. But she's undertaken at least 50, or that's what she estimates, 50 of those autopsies herself. She's seen dog bites. She's seen dog wounds. She engages in pattern recognition. She also teaches classes on pattern recognition as it pertains to dog bites. And she's eminently qualified to speak to that in this particular case. She has.
The jury's not there because this is a voir dire. They are not present for that kind of stuff.
Been able to come to an opinion and conclusion as to whether or not the injuries to John O'Keefe's.
You guys really like this one better than this?
Consistent with dog bites, and I expect that she would then give that opinion and conclusion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty and to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty.
Let's layer it.
As it relates to her differential diagnosis and her ultimate conclusions concerning the automobile impact, obviously, many more autopsies dealing with that because it's more common. She also engaged in the exact same differential diagnosis. She has training.
For me.
The subfield of, or the sub-issue of vehicle pedestrian impacts is included and subsumed within much of the medical literature that she's been taught on, going all the way back to the 1980s, dealing with her boards, and she's consistently passed her boards. She's consistently kept up with the literature. She's consistently engaged in autopsies herself, so she has firsthand training. She also trains other medical professionals, other doctors, other medical examiners, and she supervises other medical examiners. She's been the chief medical examiner for an entire state. I cannot imagine somebody more eminently qualified to talk about the 2 subjects that she's been called to talk. Well, she's called to talk about several other subjects, but these 2 subjects that's before the bench right now, than somebody with Dr. Laposada's qualifications. I will submit on the voir dire that we just completed.
All right, thank you.
It's two-tone watch. It looks blue when you look one way and the other.
Dr. Laposada has articulated the experience the way it's been summarized. She could not provide any specific training other than her boards and her references to literature. She could not articulate one single class or seminar that she took that pertained to differential diagnosis of dog bite injuries. She has no specific memory of having any type of experience.
Hank, did we listen to the same person? Because I'm thinking not.
In differential diagnosis as far as being in a training seminar or advanced education. Has the experience of a medical examiner who has seen what she believes to be dog bites in the past. She has no publications or references that she has studied the issue of differential diagnosis or pattern wound recognition relative to dog bites. If we look at the standard Dr. Russell employed, Dr. Laposada does not have any of the merit to be an expert in dog bites. While she has taught, we did not hear about anything in particular that she has taught about specific pattern wound recognition analysis regarding dog bites.
This is Adriana Nicole. She's also in the TikTok shop. Another person that has their own business. She made this. I'll put it on again and I'll show you. It's beautiful.
An experienced medical examiner, has a wealth of experience, past experience in autopsies,
It's also
but she has no experience that is a basis for her as an expert in being a dog bite expert. Particularly, she mentions one case that she's testified in federal court that we've heard of today. And she has nothing whatsoever in her report or resume to establish that she has studied in methodology. In fact, her CV and her report don't have any basis for one to look at and see that she has any specific experience in dog bites. And so Dr. LaPosada, from the Commonwealth's perspective, should not be able to give an opinion regarding or about whether or not the wounds on Mr. O'Keefe were caused by a dog. She simply does not have the training and experience and education and methodology to make her a so-called dog bite expert.
I beg to differ. How many did she say I believe it was 50? Was it not 50? How many cases have you overseen and, did what you did again today? All of them? Okay, that makes sense, don't it?
Regarding accident reconstruction, she said it best. She is not an accident reconstructionist. She saw some of the materials in this case, but it is a fraction of the materials in this case. She is not in a position to give an opinion whether or not the wounds are consistent with broken taillight. There is nothing we see on her CV. Right. There's nothing we see in her report. There's nothing we heard on direct examination that she has any experience in breaking glass, breaking plastics, and the causation of wounds. It also overlooks the fact that the opinion that he offered would extend beyond just the wounds on the arm. It would extend to a general opinion that he was not involved in a collision, and that's improper. There's no predicate or basis for it. And so based on her testimony and absence of being able to provide any education or experience, she should not be able to testify about either of these two matters.
Thank you.
I bet you she rules on Hank's side.
Suggests that she's only been qualified in one court, federal court, but the federal judge that was handling that case qualified her as a dog bite expert in that case. That is not a small thing. As a matter of fact, it's a very big thing for Dr. LaPosada and her credentials. In addition, she indicated, contrary to what Mr. Brennan just suggested, she indicated that she has been training on wound pattern recognition as it pertains to dog bites for her entire career, not just when she was studying for her boards, since she's been studying for her boards. And it's been constant and consistent throughout her entire career. She's made these differential diagnoses. She's seen the autopsies. She's seen the wounds during autopsies firsthand, probably 50 or more. She's supervised another 75 or more autopsies dealing with known dog bite wounds. She has the credentials. The court will recall that, for instance,
No. This is not the zone for politics for anybody. If anybody's thinking about bringing up politics, I'm not the one. Trust me, not here.
Dr. Isaac Wolf was called to testify by the Commonwealth. He had absolutely nothing, no credentials whatsoever to talk about wound pattern recognitions. He was a neurosurgeon, and yet he was allowed, over Mr. Alessi's objection, to talk about and to discuss his opinions and conclusions as to wound pattern on the back.
Let's just, as Bev says, let's move along here. Let's move past this. We all know now, so we don't have to say it again, right?
Back of John O'Keefe's head. Certainly, Dr. LaPosada brings much more to the table than Dr. Isaac Wolf.
We're starting fresh.
Comparing them, they're apples and oranges. Dr. LaPosada is she doesn't have to be a sole dog bite expert to be.
I will give them one more chance. One more chance, and I haven't been given chances today. Just so you know, I'm on a no chance kick. So we're going to start over. If I see it again, anybody talks politics, they're getting kicked out.
Expert in dog bites. She doesn't have to be Dr. Russell. She just has to have that level of knowledge, that level of skill, that level of expertise that's beyond that of the average layperson in order to opine as an expert on a particular issue. She certainly brings that to the table as it pertains to dog bites, and I think her skill and her education, training, and background certainly speaks to the fact that she has that in spades with regard to motor vehicle pedestrian incidents.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Exactly. Karen could be any of us. If this could happen to Karen, this could happen to any of us. 100% agree with you on that.
I'll get your ruling as soon as I can. So we're going to stop back up at 2:20, and I expect to go straight through the rest of the afternoon.
All rise for the court, please.
Thank you for extending your subscription. I appreciate you. Now, does anybody think that since they're on a break, we should reset and kick this restriction off of us because we have a restriction? All right. If you're not following, make sure you hit the follow. I'm going to end it and restart it right away, just like I did last time. And pray to God that we get no more reports today. Yeah, I've been reported 3 times today. Make it make sense.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the Karen Reed trial with us. But I wanted to tell you guys
resetting
about
instantly.
something real
Ready?
quick. We
1,
talk a lot
2,
about personal
3.
safety here all